Okay, let's just dive right in. There are a few things more stressful than trying to run payroll and having your software just stop, right? Your employees are waiting, deadlines are right around the corner, and the pressure is on. But don't worry. In this explainer, we're going to walk through a super clear step-by-step guide to get QuickBooks Payroll back up and running, and fast. So, does this look familiar? You're all set to process payments, you click the button, and nothing. Everything just grinds to a halt. If you're staring at an unresponsive screen, you are absolutely in the right place. We are going to tackle this thing head on. You're probably seeing one of a few classic signs of this problem. Maybe your payroll data just flat out won't send, or the whole program is frozen solid, or maybe you're getting that really vague but oh so frustrating server error message. These are the most common ways this whole issue shows up, and you know what? They all point to things we can actually fix. So what's really going on when payroll breaks down like this? Well, most of the time, it's basically a communication problem. It's like your computer is trying to talk to the QuickBooks servers, but the line is fuzzy. The good news is, this is a really common issue, and more importantly, it's a solvable one. This exact error message right here is often your first big clue. Think of it as a direct signal that QuickBooks has having trouble getting a good connection to the internet to do its job. So if you're seeing this, believe it or not, you're on the right track to getting it fixed. Okay, before we start getting into the heavy-duty fixes, let's run through a quick pre-flight checklist. Think of this as triage, right? Sometimes the simplest little things are the real cause, and just checking them first can save you a ton of time and headache. These are the absolute fundamentals. Getting these things right can often solve the entire problem before you even need to dig any deeper. So whatever you do, do not skip these. All right, 4 quick things to check. First up, is your payroll subscription actually active? I know it sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how often this happens. Second, what's your internet connection looking like? A weak or unstable signal can totally interrupt the process. Third, are you using an updated browser, like a recent version of Chrome, Edge, or Firefox? Sometimes old software just doesn't play nice. And finally, when was the last time you cleared your browser's cache? All that old stored data can really clog up the works and interfere with QuickBooks. Okay, with those basics covered, let's move on to the 3 main fixes. We're now getting into the core solutions that are designed to tackle the most common technical glitches head-on. The best way to think about this is that the problem usually lives in one of 3 places. It's either a glitch inside the software itself, a bad connection caused by old data, or a corrupted file from the day you installed it. So we're going to target each one of those one by one. Our first major fix is all about the software. See, QuickBooks actually has a built-in repair tool, and it's designed specifically to find and fix damaged program files that could be causing your payroll to freeze up. The process here is pretty straightforward. You just need to go to your computer's control panel, find Programs and Features, scroll down the list until you find QuickBooks, and then click Repair. The tool pretty much does all the heavy lifting. Just remember the most important step. Restart your computer when it's done so the changes can take effect. Now, if that software repair didn't do the trick, the issue might actually be your connection. This next fix is kind of like giving your browser's short-term memory a total reset, clearing out all the digital cobwebs and old data that might be causing a traffic jam. This process is basically the same for any modern browser. You just go into your settings, whether it's Chrome, Edge, or Firefox, find the privacy or history section, and choose to clear your browsing data. The key here is to make sure you select temporary internet files and cookies. It's such a simple step, but it is surprisingly powerful for fixing these kinds of connection errors. So if the first 2 fixes haven't worked, it's time for our final and honestly most definitive solution, what I like to call the fresh start. This means completely reinstalling the QuickBooks software to get rid of any deep-rooted, corrupted files once and for all. This really is the ultimate reset. You'll uninstall QuickBooks from the control panel, just like you did for the repair tool. But then you'll head over to the official QuickBooks website to download a totally fresh, clean copy. This guarantees that you're working with a perfect installation, completely free of any of those old lingering issues. Okay, so now that we've solved the immediate problem, let's take a quick second to understand why this stuff even happens. Because, knowing the root cause is really the key to making sure it doesn't happen again next month. So, yeah, what's the deal? Why did these errors pop up in the first place? Well, it's rarely just one single thing. It's usually a handful of common culprits that are responsible for most of these payroll headaches. The reasons can range from something simple, like a spotty internet connection, to something you'd never think of, like your computer's date and time being wrong, which can mess up security certificates. It can also be more complex things, like your firewall or antivirus software being a little too aggressive in blocking access. And sometimes, even using QuickBooks in multi-user mode can cause conflicts during a payroll run. All right, this brings us to the final and probably most important part, prevention. Let's look at a few simple habits you can build to keep your payroll process smooth and completely stress-free every single time. Because let's be honest, fixing a problem is great, but avoiding it in the first place is way, way better. A few proactive steps can really be the difference between a frantic payday and a smooth one. The key is to build these into your regular routine. Always use an updated browser. Try to make a habit of clearing your cache once a week. Make sure your internet is reliable, especially on payday. It's also a good idea to double-check that your employee data is accurate to prevent weird calculation errors. And here's a pro tip. Try to avoid having QuickBooks open in multiple tabs at the same time, because that can sometimes cause data syncing issues. And there you have it. From those quick pre-flight checks all the way to a full reinstallation, you now have a complete toolkit. You're not at the mercy of some random software glitch. You have the knowledge to figure out the cause, apply the right fix, and most importantly, get your payroll done. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Looking at all those preventative best practices, what's one small routine, maybe a weekly cache clear or a quick browser update before you run payroll, that you can start this week to make sure your next payday is the smoothest one you've had yet?